one, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Hello folks, this is Apple Geek. Boy, life has been interesting as of late. Here we are, halfway through the final season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I'm now finally on vacation. It's just from work. It's just a couple days before I fly out to BronyCon here. And I'm finally getting to the point where I can watch this episode. I know this episode is actually going to air in the US the coming weekend while I'm at BronyCon, so I'm watching an early release of this one so I don't have to deal with spoilers while I'm at the convention, or try to record during the convention, which I know I'm not going to have time for, and yada yada. But yeah, my life has been just ridiculously crazy and chaotic as of late. A lot of crazy things happening, changing at work, which has put a lot of stress on me, and just between family events and various other things, I've barely had a free weekend all summer long. So, yeah, well, and then the fun issues we've had on YouTube here with the copyright system and whatever, causing me to have to re-upload most of the first half of Season 9. It's been a very interesting first half of the season, to say the least. And I very much apologize for the very unpredictable release schedule for my reactions. It's just been very difficult to have the time and energy to actually do these amongst everything else that I've had going on in my life. So thankfully now I'm finally caught up just as the second half of the season is starting. I can make no guarantees about being able to keep with it as the season goes on here. It just depends on other things with work and whatever. So we'll see. My promise to you at this point is simply that I will finish the season one way or another, sooner or later. So I'll try to make it sooner, but so I have to see how that goes. But yeah, that's where things stand right now. So and just I thank everyone too for all their patience with me as I've struggled to get these releases out for you guys. So anyway, enough rambling about that. I've got a new episode to watch. I haven't watched any new Pony for quite some time now, at least the last couple 3 weeks here, so I think this is going to be fun. So without further ado, episode 14, and I've had no spoilers. I've been able to stay spoiler free for everything that is early release. There's 6 episodes out now and stuff that I have no idea about any of them, so here's hoping for another good one. Episode 14 starting now. Ooh, emergency.
I thought Pinkie Pie said to get here right away.
She sure had a burr in her britches about something.
So, where is she?
Okay.
Yeah, what is taking her so long? Just kidding.
Hi, Pinkie.
You really need to look behind you once in a while. Pinkie, you said you had something important to tell us?
She was not there a moment ago.
Not telling so much as showing. In fact, what you're about to see may shake the very foundations of your perception for all time.
This
A cupcake? Yes! But wait,
there's more! But wait, there's more!
It's an invitation to visit the Cheese Sandwich Amusement Factory!
Cheese sandwich opened a factory?
What do they make there? Rubber chickens?
That's ridiculous! They make way more there than just
Cheese?
rubber chickens!
Gosh, Cheese hardly seems the factory type. I just assumed he'd continue to wander Equestria throwing parties. Still, you must be excited to see him.
I am! I can't wait to tour his factory.
So are we.
Catch up, have him tell me my life's purpose, swap gag tips.
Whoa, what
Wait.
did you say?
Wait, what?
Catch up? I mean, it has been a while.
I think Applejack's asking about the part about cheese sandwich and your life's purpose.
Yeah, what?
That? Yeah. It's just, all of you have found your thing. You're gonna rule all of Equestria, Rainbow Dash is a Wonderbolt, Fluttershy has her animal sanctuary, Rarity has her boutiques, Applejack has that hat, and the farm, so that's 2 things. I don't even have one.
Praise the hat.
When I
Okay.
first got Cheese's invite, I was a little jealous.
Is that made of plastic?
She
took a
he
bite.
was moving on to bigger and better things, and every pony was leaving me behind. But then I realized Cheese Sandwich is a party pony just like me. If he figured out his purpose, he can help me figure out mine.
I think talking
Oh.
to Cheese Sandwich is a great idea.
But the only pony who can really find your life's purpose is you.
I know, silly. That's why I'm going to visit Cheese Sandwich's factory so I can ask him to help me.
Okay then.
Pinky?
How
Are
is
you
that?
sure this is edible?
Yeah, really.
I'm not.
Well, then again, she's capable of digesting actual rocks, so whatever. It's Pinky, don't question it. But no, this is awesome. Like, Pinky's been one of them that's been missing like a clear life goal throughout the entire show. I had pretty much given up on hope of us ever going any further with her on this, so this is amazing. I can't wait to see where this goes. Yes, Applejack has the hat. Like, that's a thing right there. And the farm. All true statements. Okay, well, Cheese Sandwich is back. And we've got a longer... There we go.
Yep, any pony with a smile
got his own museum.
is exactly the kind of pony I want helping me.
Yes, I've got Red Bull for this one, so I'm prepared.
Oh, hey
The
guys,
last
honey,
left...
Just gonna squeeze by.
There's a lot of last this season.
Can we help you?
You sure can. I'm here to see Cheese Sandwich.
Cheese Sandwich doesn't see any pony.
This factory is shut tight. No pony ever comes out and no pony ever goes in.
Is this...
including you.
Is this a spoof of the Wonka factory?
Oh, that's a shame. To think I came all this way because of this personal invitation from Cheese Sandwich himself.
You have an invitation?
Well, why didn't you say so?
This is totally going to be the Wonka factory.
Push a button.
Desolate-y.
Yes.
Any pony there?
Let me guess, he's sold out and he doesn't do parties anymore? Or something? What?
Cheese! I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, Cheese Wonka. Wait, what?
This should have gotten a big laugh. I
Wow.
wonder if we need to add more carpet rolls.
Who are you?
It could be the mask. Let's try taking the nostril flare down 10%. Thoughts?
This is mildly creepy.
Who are you?
So sorry. Son Smirk, Vice President of Amusement Integration. Mr. Sandwich is very excited you're here. If you'll
Is
just
he now?
follow me, it's a short trip through the factory to Cheese's office.
Okay, how wacky is this trip gonna be?
Cool factory dedicated to gags. Ooh, I bet this is the funnest place ever.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be very disappointed. Mm-hmm.
Maybe the fun is behind all this boring-looking factory stuff.
The fun is the factory stuff. We
Right.
take a fairly serious approach to comedy here. Observe. Oh, look, a pretty flower.
Water squirt. Yeah. Classic. Boring.
Classic. Oh, what if the flower was part of a shirt, but the flower didn't squirt? The shirt did.
Now that's original.
That is literally the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, come on. That's just off the top of my head.
Wow.
I get like 17,000 ideas like that from Cheese every minute.
We'd have to use a series of interconnected tubes in the fabric. What do you think of this?
I think
Whoopee
it's a
cushion.
cushion.
Yes?
But what if you made the embarrassing sound come from some pony else?
I sit on it, but the sound comes from you. We could call it the ventriloquy cushion. What?
So, which way is Cheese
Interesting
office
idea.
again?
Right, of course.
Is this guy
It's been quite a while since we've had the opportunity to work
Mudbr's
with
dad or
true
something?
comic inspiration like this.
Where's
What about
Cheese Sandwich? Yes.
Oh, one more thing. Our Super Slip Banana Peel. Still in development, but we think it's pretty special.
Develop? How do you... It's a banana peel. It need... What the heck? Rubber chickens?
So, too slippery?
Oh, what if instead of slipping, you were sticking? One step on this banana peel and you can't get it off. That's funny.
What? That's a twist.
Wow. Just wow. You're exactly the pony Cheese Sandwich needs to see.
Great. Because he's exactly the pony.
I think she's gonna save him instead of him saving her. The way this is going.
Hello?
Pinky. I'm glad you came.
Of course I did. Your factory is big.
Okay, what happened to
It really
Cheese?
seems like you found your purpose, which is perfect since I came here for help.
That is perfect. I knew I could count on you to help me.
That hair.
Well, that's triple perfect because. Oh wait, why do you need my help?
Because, Pinky, I completely lost my laugh.
Someone's got a little bit of a the black turtleneck, a little bit of a Steve Jobs look
Lost
there,
your
almost.
laugh?
Not sure if that's what they were going
It's some
for.
kind of joke because it's not
Rest
a
in
funny
peace,
one.
of course.
It's not a joke. And even if it was, I wouldn't be able to laugh at it.
Right. Why don't we continue this
Right.
discussion over some delicious canned peanut brittle? Wow, you did lose your laugh. That's horrible.
Sorry to interrupt, but it occurs to me that a 7% tighter wind on the snake springs would yield a 12% increase in giggle output.
This is why we're a team. Sans here has always been able to eke every last laugh out of my gags. Which is a help since I haven't come up with any good ones in a while.
Wait, so you can tell if a gag is funny or not, you just can't laugh at it?
Yes!
Aw.
And it's torture!
How did this happen?
Yes, backstory,
I
please.
don't know. Back when I was a party pony, I laughed at everything.
Oh,
I
yes,
spread
backstory.
my party cheer wherever it was needed. I even started making
Aw.
individual, one-of-a-kind novelty gags for each and every one of my parties.
Aw. Okay, what's the and the bet? Oh! Nice twist.
Soon it seemed like every pony in Equestria wanted one.
Ah. He's run fresh out of ideas now.
It was more work than my hooves could handle, but I didn't want to disappoint all those smiling faces.
Over-commercialized.
Sans Smirk came to me with the idea for a factory. A gag factory. I could finally keep up with demand and make every pony happy.
But
Soon we were sending gags all over Equestria.
how did Pinky not become aware of any of this? If it was all over Equestria. Oh well. Silly string. Okay.
But then, one day, my laugh was just gone. I haven't left the factory since. I don't want any pony to see me like this. I mean, look at me. Boneless 2 doesn't even recognize me anymore.
Oh.
So, can you help me, Pinky? What do you think?
I think I've got 2 words for you. Knock, knock.
Oh no.
Who's there?
Boo!
Boo-hoo.
Don't cry because I'm gonna get you your laugh back. Start with
Yes.
something small. Excuse me, Mr. Smirk, but is there something in my eye?
Top-notch eye googling.
I was half expecting the G3 pony face again.
Why, thanks, Sandal pal. Put it there.
Nothing.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me make it up to you. How about some pie?
Uh-oh. Aw. Ta-da!
Googly eye to hoof buzzer to pie face pratfall. Mwah. Masterful.
Come on! Those classic bits put Rainbow Dash's funny bone in a cast for a week.
Don't blame yourself, Pinky.
Well, there's a
Whatever
visual.
I got it bad.
Maybe we need to start even smaller. You can't run before you can walk. And you can't laugh before you can smile. And your smiler's all out of whack. Now, let's see what we're working with. Give me your biggest, bestest smile.
Am I smiling? I feel like I'm smiling.
Not exactly.
Maybe I just need to spot you for a rep or 2.
Wow.
Okay. You got this. It's all you. Ready?
Mew.
Anything?
Ugh.
I'm not giving up on you yet, Cheese. I know there's something somewhere that'll make you laugh. I just have to figure out where to look.
I would like to take this opportunity to point out that we are in a gag factory. This is where the magic happens.
Experimental section?
Research and development.
RD.
It's where we figure out the science of funny.
How do you science funny?
Of course, there's no one-size-fits-all
You had to
joke,
ask.
no grand unified gag theory. But if we figure out the funny of one gag, we can combine it with the funny of another gag and make a third, funnier gag.
I guess that makes sense.
Well, that was different.
Rule of threes. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that math
Threes.
checks out. At this point, I'm willing to give anything a try.
Didn't Pinky already science some of this stuff back in the school? Oh boy. From below, okay. Every one of these is gonna have a crazy twist. Disappearing ink, and it appear. How? How? I mean, amazing, but how? It's Pinky. I know.
I don't understand. I've tried everything: stand-up, classic gag, physical humor, prop comedy, vaudeville, surreal adulting character pieces. Nothing's worked.
It seems we've exhausted every avenue that even the science of comedy can provide.
That's it then.
What do you mean?
I appreciate everything you've done, Pinky, but if you can't make me laugh, no pony can.
But, sir, you can't just surrender.
It doesn't look like I have a choice. I need to figure out how to live without a laugh. I know you tried your best, but it's time you went home.
Wow.
I, too, am horrified.
Yeah, that was perfectly obvious there, buddy. Great emotion. Well, I kind of got the reverse of back in Pinky Pride, so...
Giving up?
I'm afraid Mr. Sandwich is right.
She's not giving
You are
up.
the funniest pony in Equestria. And if you can't bring back his laugh, it is surely gone forever.
Oh, and she's about to find her true purpose in this.
It was just as funny as me. I can't believe that's all gone.
None of us can. I shudder to think what will become of the factory.
You're not gonna close down, are you? I thought this place was Cheese's life's purpose.
It certainly was mine. But if Mr. Sandwich has finally given up, there's only so long we can retool his old ideas before we run out of gags to produce. I don't suppose you
That was a
consider
pot shot at Apple.
your
I'm
fresh take on
sorry.
our classic gags rivals Mr. Sandwich in his prime.
I need to find my life's purpose, but I don't think that's it. I'm a party pony.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
totally a
pony
Steve Jobs thing
action
going on here.
real time.
Ah, yes. In our early days, nothing brought Mr. Sandwich more pleasure than seeing the laughter his gags brought to Pony's first hoof.
Guess it's back to the drawing board.
Well, there will always be a place for you here if you change your mind.
Hold on.
Wait.
What did you just say?
There'll always be a place for you here.
No. Before that.
Back to the drawing board.
That was me.
Nothing brought Mr. Sandwich more pleasure than seeing the laughter his gags brought to Pony's first hoof.
Yes! I've been going about this all wrong. We don't need to make Cheese laugh. He needs to make us laugh.
Yes!
Cheese! I figured it out. I know why you can't laugh.
What? Why?
You started this factory because you didn't want to disappoint smiling faces. But in here, you can't see any.
It does make a certain sense, sir.
Is that a Pinky punch you
Spreading
down
laughter
there?
has always brought you joy.
But spreading laughter is what this factory does.
Except you don't see it. You're a party pony like me. You need to make ponies smile.
Make somebody else CEO and you go out and have fun. Oh, you two switch places?
Just try it.
Okay. Why did Boneless 2 cross the road? To prove to Boneless 1 he wasn't a chicken.
Very funny, sir. Excellent joke. Oh, I mean, ha.
Really?
Not much of a
Terrible example.
Here, try me. I promise I'll laugh.
Pinky, you laugh at everything. I appreciate what you're doing, but I think it's a cost loss. A lost cause.
What? Oh,
What was that?
a snicker.
I'm sorry, but when you swapped the letters of those words, it was just a bit...
Funny?
Uh-huh.
So you're saying it's a mix-up of the sounds that I just made? that coaxed the snicker from your throat in a delicate cascade. If I did it one more time, if I reproduced that feat, mixed up some letters here and there, you'd lily-bath too sweet. Then that's all I need to do. That's who I need to be. I thought I needed laughter, but
weird. Of course there's gonna be a song. What was I thinking?
Squirting flowers and knobby knees.
He's back!
My expertise. If you want laughter, then stick with cheese.
And now it's gonna turn into the Wonka factory.
I suppose now I should amp things up to get the thing I'm after. Move whole syllables around and change them passes to get laughter. Can't stop now, I'm on a roll, I've almost got it back. Bright folks like you aren't subject to my play on words attack. With something else I'll have to play to get me where I'm going.
What you gonna do?
Some commedia dell'arte to get the laughter flowing. And it's what I need to do. It's who I need to be. I thought I needed laughter, but it has to come from me. Follow right behind if you please. Walk this way and I guarantee. If you want laughter, then stick with cheese. Accordion solo!
Shredded cheese!
Yes!
And it's what I need to do. It's who I need to be. I thought I needed laughter, but it has to come from me. Whoopee cushions and dungarees. I know jokes like my ABCs. If you want laughter, then stick with cheese. And now my biggest test, the hardest fish to fry. A mind so
Wow.
analytical, a sense of humor dry.
So dry.
To make you laugh would prove to me that this experiment's done. Something ridiculous and not too smart. Something like a pun. Hey, Sans, how did the laughing bird's eggs hatch? They cracked up!
That is so ridiculous.
He laughed! He finally laughed!
Then that's all I need to do. That's all I need to see. I thought I needed laughter, but it had to come from me. Squirting flowers and knobby knees. Rubber chickens and dungarees. If you want laughter, then stick with cheese.
Groucho Marx glasses.
It's so good to have you back, sir. Finally, we can get the factory back to how things used to be.
Sans, my good friend.
Nope, he's
I
leaving.
don't think I can run this factory anymore.
Yeah.
But you can.
Yeah,
Without you?
Call that.
I don't understand.
Pinky was right. This is what I need. I just can't have funny ideas. I need to wander the land and see ponies laughing at them. You can run the factory, but I need to live. And don't think I've forgotten about you, little buddy.
Oh, that hat!
I knew you'd be on board.
Aww.
Don't worry. Out in Equestria, I'll have more great ideas for gags, and I'll send them all to you.
Makes sense.
Sir, are you sure this is what you want to do?
Of course. It's my life's purpose.
Hey, that's what I came here looking for.
You did? Well, come on. Let's figure it out.
No, she's.
Actually, I think I'm good. And then I said goodbye, and then I came here. Oh, and then I gathered you all together and started telling you about it. First, I said that...
Well, that sounds like quite a trip.
And Cheese Sandwich just left his own factory? Yep, but I think Salt Smirk's hooves were the perfect ones to leave it in. As much as Cheese was born to wander Equestria and make ponies laugh in person, Sans was born to run that factory.
And you don't sound so worried about finding your life's purpose anymore.
Nope! I figured out Cheese and I are pretty much the same. We both need to see ponies laughing to feel fulfilled. And I already do that. My life is purposing itself all over the place.
I agree completely.
Thanks. Oh, I almost forgot. I got you all a little something from
Oh,
the
no.
trip. Who likes peanut brittle?
Snakes. I like where this ended. I really like where this ended. Yeah, I don't want to say any more right now because I'll just be rambling. Stay right there. I'll be right back with my thoughts on this. So, to start off, I do have to say that this episode was a bit anticlimactic. It's not a bad episode by any means, but for a return of Cheese Sandwich, especially after what happened to Pinkie Pride, I kind of expected a bit more. The premise honestly did make a lot of sense, and there was a good lesson learned. Still, it felt like kind of a repeat of Pinkie Pride to some degree. And also the song, while I did enjoy it, it wasn't as good as the ones that we got in Pinkie Pride, and it's kind of hard to top, to be honest. And, while I appreciated the Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory references, I didn't really feel like they capitalized on that as much as they could have. I'm guessing that's probably a result of the references kind of being split between Willy Wonka and Steve Jobs. They're kind of going two different ways there. But, like I said, still a decent episode overall. And a good lesson, and it's one that I found to be incredibly relatable on a personal level, which has significantly raised my level of appreciation for it. So let's look at the premise here. Pinkie decides that she's lacking a life goal or purpose, and is sad about that, so she goes to meet with Cheese Sandwich, who she thinks can help her figure it out. On the flip side, Cheese Sandwich himself had lost his laugh and figured that Pinkie is the only one who can help him get it back. Both of them had kind of lost sight of their purpose in life, albeit in different ways. I know I mentioned at the beginning that Pinkie hasn't really had a life goal that she's been pursuing, so I was happy we were finally going to explore that, but in retrospect, that's not really an accurate assessment. Pinkie actually has been in continuous pursuit of her life goal, which is to put smiles on everyone's faces. It's not really a milestone, it's kind of just an ongoing thing. The difference here is that while everyone, all the others took a while to achieve their goals, Pinkie has already basically achieved hers from a very young age, and has simply been living out that dream ever since. Now, it's not to say that she hasn't grown and matured at all. She definitely has. There's been many episodes where we've seen Pinkie mature quite a bit, proving that she's a responsible adult, like, full sitting for the Cake Twins, and becoming ambassador to the Axe, just to name a couple. Applejack is kind of similar in that she's basically already living out her life goal of running Sweet Apple Acres, though she's still a bit different in that her character growth is focused more in the past, as seen in flashbacks in episodes like Where the Apple Lies and Going to Seed, whereas Pinkie's growth has been more in the present-day timeline. And honestly, if you think about it, each one of the main six has had very different life goals, or things that they're chasing after, and very different paths to achieving those goals. They've achieved them in their own way, at their own pace, because they are all unique. This is something that Pinkie Pie seemed to have lost sight of in this case. At the beginning, she was comparing herself to all of her friends, pointing out that she doesn't really have a success story that compares to any of them. While this isn't exactly the best idea, comparing yourself to others like this, it's easy to see why it happens, because it happens to many of us, if not all of us, at some point in time. One big thing we all struggle with is how to measure our own success in life. One of the easiest, though often misguided ways to do that is by simply comparing ourselves to family, friends, co-workers, any other people that we view as role models in our lives. We look at those around us and see them getting jobs, promotions, nice houses, nice cars, so on and so forth, and any kind of thing that we wish that we had ourselves. Then we look at the things we ourselves have or have accomplished, and they might seem pale in comparison, either because they are by the measure of success that we've created for ourselves, or perhaps because we simply don't recognize the value in our own accomplishments, which happens all too often. And also, while younger viewers might not understand this quite yet, there is a point in most everyone's life where we begin to question, even if things are going good, like we begin to question if we are on the right track, doing what we're supposed to be doing, or, kind of feel like we're missing out on something big because of our failure to get out and be more adventurous or try more things, expand our horizons, what have you. You know, that this is essentially what's known as a midlife crisis, though that's a term commonly associated with somebody who's nearing retirement age, whereas this kind of reflection and self-doubt can actually happen many times throughout one's life. And this is basically what happened to Pinky. She began comparing her own accomplishments to her friends, and despite all of her own successes, she noted a lack of a singular major life goal that most of the others had, and began to wonder if there's something more that she should be doing beyond just her ongoing efforts as the party pony of Ponyville. You know, this comparison created a measure of success in her mind that she felt that she wasn't necessarily living up to. And now, don't misunderstand, it isn't exactly, you know, a bad thing to reevaluate oneself periodically. That's a very good thing to do. You know, it's quite easy to get stuck in, you know, daily routines of life and fail to push and challenge ourselves to grow as a result. And taking time to recognize that and make changes where we need to is a very good thing. Still, one needs to be careful to not get fixated on a measure of success that doesn't work for you or doesn't apply to you. You need to determine what it is that you desire, what truly brings you joy, and then work towards that. And just to note, I said what brings you joy, not what brings you happiness. A lot of people don't realize that these are two distinctly different emotions. Happiness is a feeling that is typically triggered externally by various factors. You know, interactions with people, events you experience, you know, cute, funny videos on social media, etc. You know, it can be a very fleeting emotion where you're happy one moment and then sad the next because what you're currently experiencing just changed. Joy is something that's based more internally and is a reflection of the fact that you're comfortable with who you are and you have a sense of purpose in what you're doing with your life. You know, I'm hardly an expert on the subject, but something I would encourage all of you to go and do some research on of your own accord. And yes, this distinction is highly relevant to this episode. We need only to look at what happened with Cheese Sandwich to see this. While Pinky was questioning if she was really living up to her potential, Cheese was sinking into a deep pit of depression as his laughter had faded and he didn't understand why. He knew how to make jokes, and he knew if something was funny or not, but he's no longer able to laugh at the jokes himself. The reason for this is because he had lost his sense of purpose. Now, Cheese normally is a very self-confident individual, one who thoroughly enjoys being the goofy and wacky one who can bring happiness to others and put smiles on their faces. Seeing their smiles and hearing their laughter is what gave him an overwhelmingly positive sense of purpose and thus brought him great joy. The problem is he enjoyed doing this so much that he tried to do more party work than he was capable of doing alone, and ended up opening the gag factory to be able to mass produce the kind of gags and stuff that he had that he had seen create so many smiles and so much laughter for everyone. That ended up taking him away from doing the very thing that gave him a sense of purpose in life. It wasn't the gags themselves that were the most important thing. It was seeing the happiness that they brought to others that gave him joy. The gags themselves were merely a means to an end. It didn't matter if the numbers showed that the factory and its products were highly successful or not. He needed to be able to share in the experience with others. And honestly, this is something that I can very much relate to as of late. I started doing reactions kind of on a whim and never imagined that I would have anywhere near the following of fans that I currently have. But, in the beginning, I was constantly engaged, regularly reading and responding to comments. Oftentimes it's in real time as they came in after I published a reaction, and I would get kind of choked up from hearing from others about how my antics have lifted them up and brought smiles to their faces when they were feeling down. Over time, though, my channel has grown to the point where I get an absolutely overwhelming amount of comments on any new reaction that I post, and the time it takes to read through those and respond to even just a few has grown considerably. It can take, honestly, several hours just to go through the comments on one single video. Also, in my desire to remain spoiler-free in the midst of all the leaks and early airings and everything that's been going on these last few seasons, and to try and give you all the best reaction experience possible, I've had to separate myself quite a bit from the engagement with both my fans and the fandom in general. And I know some of you don't agree with that and wish that I would be more engaged. It's one of those things that's really hard decisions. Like I can either do one or the other. For me, I feel like I'm at my best when I can do the truly blind reactions, so that's what I've been focusing on. And as even going to conventions has become stressful because of the constant fear of getting spoilers, which I have gotten on occasion. Not too bad, but there have been bits and pieces here and there. Now, overall, my efforts have been fairly successful in terms of remaining spoiler-free, but the downside is that I don't get to read all the great comments that you guys leave for me all the time. Many of those comments have, when I have seen them, have brightened my day just as much as, you guys have told me that I've brightened yours. And like with Cheese Sandwich, being able to see and hear about all the positive effects of my efforts, that's given me a great feeling of joy as I'm reminded of why I do what I do and why it's all worth it. Having been cut off from this, I don't really see that much anymore, and I honestly have been feeling a lot like Cheese did in this episode. And the timing of this is interesting because, I watched this right before going to BronyCon, and going to BronyCon actually helped me a lot because I had an absolutely crazy number of fans find me and share their stories about how much positive encouragement I've brought to them. And to be honest, it's rather overwhelming, and I really don't feel like I deserve even half of this praise, especially when most of the work, honestly, has already been done by the great people that have actually created this show that I'm reacting to. Still, though, the feeling that I get from hearing about how I've helped others is much different from just the laughs that I get watching these episodes. The show itself brings us happiness, but the work that we do in this fandom, the people we've helped, and the friendships that we've created, that's the stuff that will bring us joy, and will continue to bring us joy long after the show has ended and life moves on. This is why this show is so special, because it's not just another meaningless piece of fluffy entertainment that does nothing more than give us a mere moment of pleasure. Rather, it's encouraged the creation and growth of friendships and inspired so many to get out of their shells and find their purpose in life, to find and pursue that which brings us joy. And the sheer amount of artistic expression that has been produced in this fandom is proof positive of that. With all the fan art and the music and the fan fiction, cosplay, plushies, and so on, all labors of love. Bringing it back to the episode, as unfortunately for Cheese, Pinky finally realized what the problem was and helped him remind him of what his true purpose was in life. He didn't need to be the one running the factory. He needed to be the one who goes out and puts smiles on others' faces. The factory merely produces some of the tools that he uses to do that, and he would still be able to do that even without those tools. As for Pinky, in the midst of all of this, she realized that she's pretty much exactly like Cheese Sandwich, and that her true purpose is what she's already been doing. It doesn't matter that she doesn't have some big goal or milestone to act as a measure of success for her life. What matters is that the work that she's doing is bringing her joy by sharing laughter with others and brightening their day. And that's all the measure of success that she needs. And just to note, while having a big life goal, it can be a very meaningful and rewarding thing. And, you absolutely should have goals that you work towards. That's what inspires you and pushes you forward in life. But that alone is not what's going to bring you joy. I mean, just look at what happened a while back with Rainbow Dash. Her life goal was to become a Wonderbolt. But just achieving that alone did not bring her joy. At Rainbow Falls, a few seasons ago, she turned down an offer to join the Wonderbolts and fly with them because she didn't agree with their tactics to take her away from her friend's team. Then after she did officially join the Wonderbolts, she messed up by pulling some dangerous stunts. She's dealing with her, the name calling and stuff, and, the nickname she didn't appreciate, and she was ready to resign because she no longer felt worthy of the honor of being a Wonderbolt. Being a Wonderbolt makes her happy, but maintaining her honor and her loyalty to her friends, that's what the true source of her joy is. And she would have been miserable if she would have had to abandon those principles just to be on that team. And if something, bad happened where she was no longer able to fly, of course she would be sad. She'd be devastated. But she could still find joy in being loyal to her friends no matter what. And Rarity, we've seen, time and time again that what truly matters to her the most is being generous with others, giving of her time, energy, and resources to help others where she can. Even if all her boutiques were to fail and go out of business for some reason, she could still be generous with others, which is truly what brings her joy regardless of the setting. If Fluttershy's animal sanctuary got destroyed, she would still be kind to all creatures. If Applejack lost the farm, she'd still be an honest, hardworking pony willing to help others in need. If Twilight lost all of her magic, she'd still be able to spread the message of friendship to all, because that's all the magic that anyone really needs. We saw that with Tempest in the movie. And no, I haven't forgotten about Starlight. Her joy comes from being able to make something good out of her past mistakes by teaching others how to not make the same mistakes she did, like by counseling the students at the school. That has allowed her to find a sense of purpose and fulfillment, and to regain her self-confidence after suffering a loss that initially led to her feeling like she had no worth or value whatsoever and was only deserving of punishment. So, here's my challenge to you, and to myself, quite honestly, because I don't have it all together on this either, okay? Take a look at what makes you happy in your life. Now imagine what it would look like if that got taken away from you. Would you still find life worth living? Would you still feel like you have worth and purpose? Being joyful doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. It means that even when you're sad and nothing seems to be going your way, you still know that you have value and a purpose in life, and you can look forward to better days to come. I think this is especially relevant for us now that FiM is coming to an end, and a lot of people are afraid of what life will be like after that. Remember, happiness comes from the outside, but joy comes from within. Look within yourself and find yourself. Find who you are. Be confident in who you are and in what you have to offer the world. That's where you'll find your joy. Now, taking a step back from that, I do just have one other bit to say about with Pinkie Pie here. I gotta say that I'm very happy that this is where Pinkie Pie ended up at the end of this. It's been clear for a long time that she's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing, especially after what happened in Pinkie Pride, where she tried to do all kinds of other odd jobs and things, trying to find if she had some other purpose, besides being a party pony, and none of it really worked out for her. For the writers to introduce a new life goal for her now would be crazy, both because there's simply no time for her to really pursue and achieve such a goal before the show ends, and because it would probably feel very manufactured and forced at this point. Fluttershy's surprise goal fit well for her because her character traits were such that it made sense for her to have kind of a secret life goal that she was never really self-confident enough to actually even mention before then. Pinkie Pie is, in my opinion, much more transparent than that. If she had another goal in mind, something big that she wanted to do, we probably would have known about it by now. I mean, even though she had that, at one point we saw that she had the secret party planning cave, that still was in line with her ongoing activities. So really, I think this journey of self-reflection was just the perfect way to address the issue of a lack of an obvious big life goal for Pinkie without actually taking her a different direction and messing up her character. So I really do appreciate the way that they were able to poke at that a little bit before the series ended. So yeah, that's basically what I've got on this episode. This is it. Despite not necessarily meeting all of my expectations in terms of Cheese's performance, this was an absolutely solid episode with a fantastic message for us. One that, as you can see, hit pretty close to home for me in particular. And I would just like to again thank everyone that I met at BronyCon for their gifts of and I do mean gifts, of positive encouragement to me at a time where I really needed them. And I just hope that this episode and my words here have once again helped some of you watching out there find more meaning in this story and in your own lives. As always, I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully fairly soon, for another great episode. Until then, good night, everyone.